Hello, crafty friends. Welcome to Stamp and Create with Beth. I'm Beth Roy, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today is Sunday, July 6th, 2025. And tonight we are going to talk about the mirror image or reverse image technique. So if you pop in, say hi, let me know who's watching along. Hey, Joan. So tonight I'm going to show you how I do this technique, but I'm not going to complete a card. So we're just going to do a short video where I'm going to show you the technique and how I do it. And I'll try to answer any questions you have. So I do have a card that I completed here. And I used the Sunrise Sailing and the Scenic Adventure dies. It has the mountain scenes that you can create. This is the embossing folder that goes with the Sunrise Sailing. It is called, I guess it's just Sunrise Sailing Hybrid Embossing Folder. And I'm also going to tell you about how I die cut my image. So obviously you could fussy cut your image when you do it reverse or mirror image, but that is how I used that piece that I did. And then here is one, I just colored it. I stamped it very faint. So it's almost like a no line or a watercolor look. And that's how my images turn out. So I'm just going to give it a few seconds and then I will get started with the technique. If you're watching the replay, let me know. If you watch on YouTube, let me know if you have any questions. So to do the reverse image, I recommend a stamp positioning tool. I have found that this is the easiest way for me to get a good image. So I use this mat right here is a silicone craft mat, and I label my bag that I keep this in because this is really for when you're adhering things. It's an adhesive. You can put adhesive on it, and I keep one that I do the mirror technique with so that it never has glue on it. So I label my bag, and that's how I keep it. And I recommend this because I just found that it's the easiest way to get a reverse image. I'm going to show you two ways that you can do it. You can use the stamp positioner, or you can use a block and just stamp onto this. But I like to pile up my ink. And so I have found that if you have a stamp positioner, it's easier to layer ink onto this craft mat so that your image comes out a little clearer. Oh, Joan, you just ordered the silicone mat. I have 3 of them. 2 that I use when I'm adhering things that are delicate, or maybe I'm creating a background where I'm using a ton of glue. This is great because the adhesive does not stick to it, so you can just peel it off and clean it up. But I like to keep a clean one just for this technique. So let's go ahead and jump in. I actually have my sailboat from the Sunrise Sailing on one side of my plate, and I have the floral image from Charming Day on the other. So I'm going to show you both. And this is photopolymer, so you need to make sure that if your positioner has an insert for photopolymer that you're using it. So you can kind of see, this is on my grid paper below, but you can kind of see maybe a little faint line of where I was applying this ink earlier. So I'm just going to jump right in and stamp the sailboat, and I'm going to tell you how I did the die cut, okay? So if you have any questions while I'm working, feel free to type those in the chat. I'm going to stamp my boat in Secret Sea just so you can see it. When you use darker inks, I find that it comes out just a little bit better than when I use a lighter ink. But all I'm doing is I'm inking this up and I'm pressing it onto that silicone mat. And typically I wouldn't have another stamp here because I really want to make sure I'm pressing this down. And you can see I've stamped onto the silicone mat. Hey, Jenny. Thanks for joining us. And I'm going to ink it again. I'm going to close my stamp positioner. I'm just adding another layer of ink. All of the ink is not going to come off from my stamp set onto the silicone mat. It is not going to hold a bunch of ink, but you can see it did get a little bit darker. Okay, and I still have ink over here. That's okay. I typically ink it 3, maybe 4 times depending on the color. And I'm just going to keep trying to transfer a little more ink each time. Press it down. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of whatever color paper you want, a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to lay it down. Don't let it move. And then I'm going to close my door again and stamp onto that. And I want to put a lot of pressure on that so that it picks up the ink off of the silicone mat. I'm going to take this off for a minute. Sorry, my camera's shaking. Sorry about that. So I'm just pressing that down so that it picks up that ink. Now this has inked and we've picked up our boat. So I usually use this technique with outline stamps. If you have a solid stamp, it can look grainy. So just know that when you're doing it. If it's something you're going to color with watercolor pencils or use blends over top, it may be okay. You just have to try it and see. So because I used my stamp positioner, I have the boat stamped the correct direction. And what I do is I take my die and I die cut it. Okay, so I would tape this on, run it through my cut and emboss machine, and it's actually going to cut this out exactly how I need it to be cut. So I have done this technique a ton. I love using it with different images, especially like I had, I've done it a ton with like some of the snowman sets where I wanted my little snowman facing another way. So that is how I do it. I'm going to take this off. I'll throw it over here to be cleaned. Now, earlier when I was playing, I actually just flipped this over. So you can see it still has ink on it. It just wipes off. And on this side, I had the flower. And I can tell you, I don't need this for my red rubber, so I'm going to pull that out. So depending on what stamp position you have, you just use whatever is recommended. Now this may transfer onto my grid paper a little bit. That's okay. That's what it's there for. Put my magnets on. Now, let's see. I can stamp the flower. I originally stamped it in Basic Beige. I was trying out a new color combo. So let me bring in the flower. So this is how I use the boat. So here's my little reverse boat. And I did the die cut this way. And then flipped it over. So that's how I use this. What do you think about that color combo? It's Cloud Cover, Secret Sea, Basic Beige, and Crumb Cake. Isn't that cute? Okay, so the other thing that I did was this this flower, and this is from the Charming Day. I love this floral. And you can see I have it stamped on both sides, just like I did the boat. This does have a coordinating die. If you stamp an image and it doesn't, you could easily just fussy cut it, or cut a circle, or cut a shape, or whatever. You can also just use, if you want it on a layer, I have some layers here that I've already cut. And I think they're 5 inches by 3 3/4. So I would stamp on this layer and then mat it and then put it onto my card. So if you do basic beige, it kind of comes out like this, where it's kind of like a no line watercolor. Or I can do it in the Secret Sea. Thank you, Joan. Jenny, you always forget about this technique. I kind of do too, unless I need it for something specific. Like I'm making a scene, or I'm making, something where I want the object to face the other way. But this is a cool technique. So what do you guys think? Do you want to see the flower in basic beige? So it's basically going to be like this. Or would you like me to stamp it in Secret Sea? I'll let you guys tell me. So I'm testing out some colors for this week. And I really like this softness. All I did was color this with blends, and I went over it with the color lifter to kind of push some of it through and make it look fuzzy. So, oh, Joan. Okay, so Joan's asked, how would I do it if I had a fish I want facing each other? Let me see. I don't know if I have any fish sets close by. Let's see what I got here really quick. Okay, so I pulled this out really quick, and it does have one fish in it. Let me do this flower really quick, Joan, and then I will show you how I would do that. And I have an extra piece, so no worries. Okay, so what I do when I want to do just a card layer, now this is stamped on it someplace. I have stamped on it. But it was basic beige, so I'm not going to worry too much. But I kind of plan this out. And I pick up my stamp. And then I usually look at this and like try to line it up with one of my lines using my grid paper. And I'm going to grab my Secret Sea, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with that boat. I'm going to press down. So I'm trying to layer, and you're going to notice a lot of ink stays on your stamp. So I'm just going to keep inking and closing, kind of rubbing it. I want it to go over onto that silicone mat. And we just build up a little bit of the ink. You'll notice some areas might transfer a little better, and that's okay. It's not going to look perfect like a stamp. So if you don't have one of these, I'm going to also show you what you could do if you don't have a stamp positioner. You won't be able to stamp the stamp on it and do the die cutting the way I did, but that's okay. So I'm going to take this, and I actually think I stamped, I don't know, I must have stamped that the regular way. I don't know. Anyways. I'm going to lay this down carefully. And then I'm going to stamp it just like I did the other one. I guess that one is reverse, isn't it? I don't know. I want to press on it, make sure I really pick up that image that's on the other side. When I flip it over, there we go. So see? It's the opposite. And then you can color it however you want. So let me just show you. I'm going to clean this really quick and show you what to do if you don't have this stamp positioner. I just need to move a few things here. Get my block. Okay. So if you just have the silicone mat, that is okay. You're going to do it the same way. You just won't be able to keep layering the ink. So you can see that I still have ink on there, and it will still come off on your piece of paper. So I'm just grabbing a wipe here, and this is just a baby wipe, and it's for like sensitive skin. So it doesn't have any chemicals on it. I'm just wiping that clean. I have a towel here. So I'm just going to wipe it off really quick and make sure that it's dry. So real easy to clean up. So I'm just going to lay that down. And if you didn't have the positioner, you're just going to ink it once. So you're going to tap it on your ink pad, get it nice and juicy. Okay, but don't get it on the edge. We don't want that edge. And you're going to stamp it. And if you use grid paper underneath, I can kind of see the lines. You want to hold it down there and let the ink transfer to that silicone mat, because once we lift it up, we don't have any way to line it up again. So then we're going to press down and just rub. You don't want your paper to move, so hold it still. I know my camera is shaking, and I apologize. Hey, Dad, thanks for joining us. So I want that to transfer, and then when you flip it over, there it is. Now, I didn't line it up very well, but that's okay. You get the idea. Now, the disadvantage is if I wanted to die cut it, see, it would be really hard to line that up. I have some ideas for that, but I haven't tested it yet, so I'm not going to share those just yet. But you could easily cut around it, or cut a stitched shape, or the banner dies, or whatever it fits. So that, you can kind of see the difference there. This, I built up the ink by using that stamp positioner, and this I just inked it once and picked it up. And see, I probably could have left it there for a second and really let that sink in. See how much was left on the mat? Okay, so, And just so that I'm not wasting my ink, on this, I'm going to stamp this over here. There we go. Okay, now let me show you what I would do when you want something facing each other and you're trying to line it up. Put this away really quick. So there's lots of things you can really do with this technique. I'm going to bring my positioner back in. So this, when you want something that's really lined up, you're going to have to it's going to take you a little more time, and you'll just have to think about it and plan it out. So I'm going to put this in there because my fish is photopolymer. Okay. So let's get this little fishy out. I don't think I have anything cute, so let's see. So this is going to stamp. I'm trying to think. I might have to do a test here. This stamps this direction. So we want, I don't know. I'm going to stamp on there and we're going to figure it out. It might not be perfect. We shall see. So you kind of want to guess where you want the opposite fish facing. Okay. Let me see if this works out how I'm thinking. So I'm going to ink it a few times. Okay. And build up that ink on my silicone mat. And then I don't think this is going to be the well, we'll see. I've only done it with the snowmen, so I'm going to push that there and pick that fish up. And we'll see if it works out here in a second, Joan. That is a great question. Sometimes it takes a little planning. Okay, so there's my fish. When I turn him over, he's facing this way. Now, I am going to line this up for the other fish. So, do you want them like they're like they're lined up face to face? Or do you just want them near each other? So that's kind of how I do it. I think about which side of the paper. So if I had picked this up and I put it clear over here and it was facing, my stamp's facing this way, when I turn it, it's going to be facing the edge of the paper. So I just point it toward the middle, and then when I flip it over, then you stamp the other stamp right side up, if that makes sense. So then I would just take this and kind of see where I want that to be, like that. So I'm going to move it out just a little. I don't know if you want kissing fish or what, but... And if you take this off and put it on a block, it's a little easier to kind of see where you want it. So there's our little fishies, and that reverse image came out really nice and crisp. So there's some fish facing each other, like they're having a little chat. There you go. So let me clean that one up. I'm going to stay for a few minutes and answer any questions you have about this technique. I know I've had some questions about it, and you know, I don't do it all the time, but it is a great technique and it's kind of fun, especially when you have little characters. The Storybook Friends would be great because you have characters that face one direction. So if you want them to be going the opposite direction, you can use this technique to change things around. So these little characters it works well with. So if you want your, let's see. Let's do this. Just showing you some ideas. Well, sometimes when I haven't done something for a while, I have to just kind of think it through. And so this would be, like I said, cute if you want your little bunny facing the other way. Let me grab some more paper here. So I'll just stamp a little sheet here. And we'll do crumb cake. I have found that not all inks work well with this technique. I don't know if it's just how the ink reacts on the silicone. But just take your time, do some experimenting. Now this one's probably hard to see on camera because the silicone mat is brown and I'm using crumb cake. But I do the same thing. I just keep building up the ink. You can do it 3 or 4 times. You might be able to see it a little more now. It gets a little darker. So it doesn't seem like it's transferring much ink, but it is. And then so like I said, I prefer outline stamps. There's our little bunny. And let me show you a solid really quick before I go. Just so that you can see what I mean by the bubbling. And again, some things may work better than others. I'm going to do this one. This is a solid floral. And even though they don't, I'll do this one just so you can see it. So let me grab out another little scrap piece here. So again, you would stamp this and transfer that ink. And then And I don't want to press too hard with this because it will kind of spread. So you can see this one turned out okay, but you can kind of see that it has like a little bubbly look. That is from building up the ink. So it's up to you and kind of what your preference is and the look you're going for. But it can get a little fuzzy or bubbly looking when you do a solid. So that is the reverse or mirror image technique, whatever you call it. And I do like using it quite a bit when I'm doing characters and things. Aw, thank you for the love. So if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to let you go for the evening. This was just a technique video, so I'm not doing a card. If you have questions later, feel free to tag me, or if you're over on YouTube, just comment on the video and I will answer the best I can. Thanks everyone. Have a wonderful evening and I'll see you soon. Bye.